Hey everyone and welcome back. Now in today's video we'll be discussing about the integration of Systemd with Consul. So as of now we have been deploying Consul with either through a command line flag or via the configuration directory. So although this is good for an initial start, but for production you do not really need to go through this way because there are certain disadvantages here. First one is that if you restart your system, Consul will not automatically come up. So let's say that there are 200 servers within your organization that are acting as a Consul client and you are restarting them as part of the patch management activity. So each time after restart, you again have to start the Consul agent here. So this is not the best process. Second is that if you are running it via the CLI directly and if you disconnect, then also there will be certain challenges here. So you need a better way in which Consul can be handled for production environment. And this is the way through Systemd. So Systemd basically provides a system and a service manager that primarily runs as a PID1 and it starts the rest of the system. So here you can specify your service file with all of the configuration and setting and Systemd will go ahead and start the process accordingly. So in this screenshot I have taken the service file of Consul. So you will see consul.service over here. And here there are multiple options. So we are primarily interested in the one which is below service. So here you are specifying user and group. So this will go ahead and start a Consul service with the user of Consul and a group of Consul. Then you also have a exec start where you're starting the Consul agent. So here you see your Consul agent followed by the configuration directory which is etc consul.d. So whatever configuration that you have within the configuration directory, the Systemd will go ahead and start this specific process with this command. And along with that, there are also various other configuration options which we'll ignore as of now. So now what will happen is via the Systemd will definitely start the Consul, but you can also specify various configurations like if the system restarts, the Consul should automatically start. So that is something that you can go ahead and do with the Systemd based approach. So let's do one thing. Let's quickly jump into practical and look into it in more detail. So for our Consul 01 server, let's quickly go ahead and start Consul with the development mode and we'll primarily focus on Consul 02. So currently I'm connected to Consul 02 server where we'll be playing around with Systemd. Now, if you have installed Consul through repository, like what we have done through yum, this Consul Systemd service file will always be there. So let's quickly verify that. So whenever you do a systemctl status on Consul, you will see that the Consul service is within the inactive or a dead state over here. However, one of the important information that it gives you is the location of the service file, which is userlib systemd system consul.service. So let's quickly do a cat on this specific location and it will give you various information. Like within the service, it is telling that the Consul process will start with the user of Consul and the group of Consul. Then you have a exec start, which is basically the actual command to start the Consul agent. So you have user bin Consul agent, then you are specifying a configuration directory which is etc consul.d. So this is where your consul.hcl file should be present. So this is the basic configuration here. Now when you quickly go to etc consul.d directory, you should see that there is a consul.hcl file that is available, and when you do a cat on consul.hcl file, you have various information here. Now again, this file by itself is not the right way to start the Consul. So if you remember in the earlier video, we had our own consul.hcl file that we had created. So if I quickly do a ls, this is something that is a custom consul.hcl which had the start join, the bind addr and the data dir. So we will be making use of this specific consul.hcl file while starting Consul. So let's do one thing. First, let's go to the consul.d directory where the default HCL file is present. Let's rename this file to consul.hcl.back. And then the custom consul.hcl file that we had created, let's go ahead and copy it up. So I'll say root consul new config, the consul.hcl file, and we'll paste it over here. All right. So if I do a pwd, we are currently in the etc consul.d directory it has our custom console.hcl file. So if I have to show you, this is our custom file over here. Now, one more important part to remember. So let me quickly show you. So within the service file, it is specified that it will start with the user of console and with the group of console. So here you have to make sure that whatever configuration file that you have, it has an appropriate permission. So currently the permission of root is there with console HCL. So let's change the permission to console.console for this specific configuration file. And now if you do a ls-l, you should see that the permission is perfectly well. Great. So now let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and start the console service. Once done, let's quickly verify the status to see if it is running or not. Somehow it is showing that the agent has failed. So let's quickly find out on why exactly this might be the issue. So let's do a journal ctl with the name of console. And when you go down with the shift G, here it will give you an exact error. So the exact error is that the data there is saying root console, and this is the issue. Now again, as we were discussing, that the console process will start with the user of console and a group of console. And since our data directory is within root console, it is not able to open it, and this is the reason why it is getting failed. So let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and create a data directory within the console.d folder itself. So let's modify our console.hcl, and the data directory, let's specify etc console.d, and the name, let's say console-dir. We'll go ahead and save it. So now let's go ahead and restart the console. And now if you quickly verify the status, you see that our console is up and running. Now within the GUI also, if you go to nodes, you should see that our console 02 node is up and running. So when you do a queue, you can come out. So this is great primarily because it is running in the background and you do not really have to worry about it. So even if you log out, it will continue to run. And also one more important part that we need to know is that you can do a systemctl enable console. So now what will happen is that if you restart your server, when the server comes up, the systemd will ensure that the console starts automatically. So let's quickly verify. So I'll go ahead and I'll do a reboot. So you see we have logged out. So from the GUI, you see that the console 02 is no longer available. So basically a graceful exit of the agent has happened. So let's try and connect to a server yet again. Great. So we are connected. So now if you quickly do a systemctl status on console, you should see that the systemd has automatically started up the console. And from the GUI as well, you see the console is up and running. Great. So with this, I hope you understood the importance of integrating systemd with console. Now, if you're running the console in production environment, you will be integrating the systemd with console, not only for the console client, but also for the console server. So for today's demo, for simplicity, we just integrated the console client, but you will even do it for the console server in production environments. Now, if you have never worked with systemd, there were certain commands that we had run, like systemctl start console. We looked into journalctl on how you can see the exact logs for console and so on. So these are some of the commands that are not important for the exams, but whenever you're working in production environments, you need to be familiar with the systemd specific commands here. So with this, we'll go ahead and we'll conclude today's video.